This is the Unpivot Updates Pod, Power BI edition. I'm Hopkins.
I'm Stu Days. I'm very excited
And
to be here.
It's just
First
the two of us. Yeah, awesome. So the plan here is we're going to be doing some shorter podcasts occasionally to discuss recent-ish updates to Power BI and Excel. Sue and I are going to be focusing on the Power BI side, and Mark and Giles are going to do an Excel one. So short and sweet, but we're just going to get into a few of the latest Power BI updates.
Yeah, definitely.
Sound good? Okay, so I'm going to kick off with, I'm going to go back to March, because March and April sort of not been huge numbers, so I think I can sort of cover, a couple. One of the very quick ones, I don't know if you've actually noticed any difference here, but in March they claimed Power BI has a quicker startup time.
Oh, I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, apparently it's just meant to launch about 20% quicker or something like that when you start up a new file.
I don't usually have a problem with it, so it's not too bad.
You're still doing everything in desktop though? You're not using the browser version, are you?
Not generally, desktop or tabular editor.
Yeah,
I use tabular editor a lot. So desktop for smallish things, tabular editor.
Yeah, tabular editor directly into the
both.
Into the model.
So tabular editor on desktop and tabular editor on the XML endpoint, which I have to say is a game changer for me.
Very good. That's another one, isn't it? This tabular editor's always getting updates as well. And they keep adding new features to that. Might have to have a bonus section in a future pod. Too many things.
I'm always happy to talk about tabular editor.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, maybe pencil it in for next time. We'll have a tabular editor section.
Yeah. People are interested.
We'll have to get Daniel on as well.
Yeah.
Just see if he can do a bonus appearance for the next update.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah. The other one then, so new card visual has, first of all, they've renamed small multiples as categories.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But, more human sort of sensible.
Yeah.
So, and then they've sort of added some extra formatting, and you can do a table layout or a card style layout, which is quite nice. All these improvements. And it says sorry, go on.
Yeah, I do like the new card style layout. I do find it quite clicky in that you have to pick on each individual element of the attribute that you want to choose, and so it's great because it gives you a huge amount of flexibility, but I do find it quite time consuming.
Yeah, one that caught a lot of people out and still does, I see it on forums and things, is like number formatting.
Yes.
And things like this. So you've got, 3 separate values, and you go, right, show decimal points none or display units none. And it doesn't even show up.
Yeah.
But you have to change it to the individual value first, that sort of thing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is. But I have just done a fantastic report which pulls in, and each value within the card will go red, amber, green, depending upon specific conditions applied to that particular measure. So it was quite time consuming, but efficient, but looks good.
Yeah, nice. Another one then was style presets, which I actually had a play with.
Ooh.
So the concept here is that if you write your own custom JSON, which is, again, sort of a bit of a showstopper for most people to start with, but I persisted. I've actually built a GPT to try and help me write JSON because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Oh, it's nested.
Yeah. So if you write, you can, for a particular style of visual, long chart, bar chart, whatever, you can set different preset styles that will then appear in a drop down. When you're on the visual, so you go to the paintbrush for a visual, and it says default preset or whatever you call them, no labels, all label, whatever you want to make up. It's fiddly, and I'm not convinced about where I'd ever use it. So that's one of those features where I'm just thinking, if you're going to make the effort building your own theme, is there an upside? Would you ever want to toggle between different individual themes for individual visuals? I'm just not sure where it's in for that.
It's
what I wanted to do was have a toggle between all the header icons, all the drill down sort of filter icons that pop up and get in the way. So I was thinking I could just like turn those off and on as I wanted to, but it's on a per visual basis.
So
your theme file has to have all those things in for every visual. So there's a lot of JSON writing to do.
Yes. And there are custom theme, but it's almost you're going outside again. I did ask Debbie, can you not do one like this, please, for the report side element? So that I can go in and say headers, and I can say whether I want them all this font, and I want the subtitles or this font, and I, to be really specific about the JSON for each visual.
Well, what I found is Power BI Tips, their theme generator does help massively with that. Otherwise, I'd be totally in the dark. I don't know what any of the naming convention is or anything. So their ability to sort of set the main settings, but then the nesting just kills me in JSON. I know.
I'm sure there'd be a way in with Python, and it's good with JSON, but
So, and then the other little one was annotations in PowerPoint. Did you see that one?
I didn't see that, but I would. But I do quite often put Power BI reports into PowerPoint, so that for board packs or sales or something, it's pulling in the Power BI report, and it just gets updated. So whenever they use it each month or each quarter, the report's there. So what does this one do?
So essentially, it's if you embed one visual in a page, so not the whole page, not the whole Power BI, one visual, one chart, you can then in PowerPoint right click on any point in that chart, and a little annotation box will pop up, and you can just add a little bit of commentary.
Oh, I like that.
It sort of seems good, but it only works with one chart, so it's not interactive or anything like that. And it, if you refresh your report, I guess the comment could then be wrong depending on what your chart is showing. So it's not, but the contents of the comment you can make linked to your measures that are in the chart. So you could say, this is the peak as at, and then you can click month and measure value or something like that.
Because I have got something like that, but it's bringing in a whole page. So it brings in a whole page, and the manager wanted an hour because something specific happened, which caused a significant change in the data at a point. And so I have to each time move that to say, this is when we did this, which is why this happened. So I could see that would be useful if it would follow through. But what I would really like is to be able to bring in one image from one place and one image from another instead of just one image.
And I think the fact that it doesn't get stored back in the Power BI report is a little bit of a weakness as well. So it's just in the PowerPoint deck, but potentially useful.
A little text box, so they can then alter the text box so they look at the data and see what it's doing, and then they write their text underneath and change it each month.
Which is what I would see how it would normally work. So I don't think it adds a huge amount, but it must be nice. It must be useful for someone.
Someone somewhere.
Those ones. So that was really sort of my March ones. The April ones. Do you want to discuss?
Do you want me to go?
What's this direct link stuff? Explain to me, Sue, what you know. I'm struggling.
I was good to win. I said I'll do this one, and
So what is it?
Please bear with me if I get it wrong. So, or not,
we're all learning.
Wrong, but it might not be 100%. So basically, within Power BI, you can have import, where you pull your data into your Power BI desktop and it sits there and it's really, really quick. Or you can have direct query, where the data doesn't reside in Power BI, it resides back in the service, and that's supposed to then give you instant changes as the data changes. However, it can be slow and it limits you to what you can do within Power BI desktop. So you don't have the same flexibility as Power Query. So that historically, there's been these two options. And now they've brought in, or not now, I think it was last year, they brought in Direct Lake, which basically, I won't go into the whole engineering side of it, but it basically is a really quick way using Fabric that you have the speed of import, but with the speed of import, but with the refresh rate of direct query. So it's sat right on top of your data, and it is really quick, and it's a beautiful thing. However,
because it's connecting directly to your Delta Parquet.
Yeah, so it connects. So when you pull data into Fabric, you've got two things: a lakehouse and a warehouse. So a lakehouse is where you can put any type of data in. So you could pull in images, and it's just a really nice way to store all of your data in one place. If you put it in a warehouse, it has to be structured. So it has to be, a nice tabular format. And previously, when you pull the data in, it would create a semantic model for you, and you would use Direct Lake on this pre-generated semantic model, which isn't necessarily most efficient. And so you can now create in Fabric a semantic model, so you don't have to, use theirs. But there were a few provisos that if the data in the Delta tables aren't formatted correctly, or you don't have the correct level of this, and this, it could fall back to direct query, which would then have a massive drop in speed. And it was, I think, as if you're working as part of a team, it was quite difficult to manage version control. So they now have the ability to be able to pull the tables from a lakehouse. So it doesn't have to be a warehouse. You can pull, does it have to be a lakehouse? Well, you can basically attach to your one lake catalog. So you open up Power BI desktop, and in the same way we were able to import data in from a data flow, you can now import data in from one lake, which is this whole thing that is surrounding
which is all your sort of
Fabric
Delta
sits
tables.
on top of. All your data is in one place, and you can actually pull in the tables and create your own model in Power BI desktop. So instead of having to use a model created in the service, you can pull the tables in and create them in Power BI desktop. Why would you want to do that is the question, and why are people quite excited about that? It's because if you pull it into, you can basically edit the tables in Power BI desktop. So if you think there were certain things you couldn't do, but now you can do if you're using it in desktop. But I think the main thing is it doesn't fall back to direct query. So if it's not quite right, you can set the fallback so it doesn't go back to direct query. And it supports version control using Git. So you can save your files as a Power BI project file, which you can then integrate with Git. So people can work on the same tables, create their own models in Power BI desktop and save it to Git, which allows for version control. So
I'm guessing as well, you're also able to then build on much bigger tables without having to import the data to refresh and all this sort of thing as well, because it's just all sitting there in the Fabric tables. You're not having to download and upload and all that sort of stuff as well.
And the only the only thing I thought about is what happens if several people, because you can actually edit the tables in Power BI Desktop. So you could have times when people edit the same things, but that's why you need to use Power BI project files and Git so that, you know, you can push the changes. So I think for an enterprise, it gives a much more robust method of using the same data that's ingested in for many different things.
The thing I saw that sort of caught me out and started making me think as well was when you do this edit in the semantic model, there's no report page view. You're basically just you're in modeling mode. So which, you know, is unintuitive for me, because I'm sort of making tweaks to my model and writing measures as I'm building visuals and then realizing that doesn't work. And so it's an iterative process. And in the demo, all they did was they opened up another browser with the visuals on, connected to the model. And the report page was updating as they were editing the model in desktop. And they were just sort of doing both at the same time. It's just like, that's pretty cool.
It's really, really cool. It's really, because the same with, that's what I do with Tabular Editor. You can change it in Tabular Editor, push the changes, and then you see it reflected within your report. It's that. So I think it's going to that way. So you can actually, because it's connected and it's so quick, you can make the changes and you can see your report change, you know, with those changes. And then also, once you've got that source control and version control, where you can actually see who's made what changes, and you can fall back if there's a mistake, or, you know, it gives a much more robust working experience.
I think I saw as well that they've now enabled you to have version history for online models. So if you're editing them, I think that was one of the April updates. If you're editing the model online, you can now, and you stuff it up, you can go to just like an Excel or OneDrive or SharePoint. You can go version history and bring back a previous version.
I haven't seen that one.
You know, which you need when auto save is basically on by default. Because anything you do. Do you mean to delete that table? No, but yeah.
No, that would be, because how many times I think I've saved that, and then you come back and it's like, do you want to restore it from the previous version? And you think, well, I thought I'd saved it from the previous version. So what is this that it's showing me?
Which version's this now? So,
yeah.
So that would be good. I think for me, a lot of the updates over the recent months, they really fall into that sort of pro dev, sort of focused Fabric world, and even the Power BI stuff. It's all the, like you're saying, about the Git integration and other stuff, and that's really not my ballpark. So a lot of it just goes a bit over my head, because there's a billion things to keep up to date with.
I know, we were saying that, weren't we? It's I mean, I can, and you know, a lot of, you know, to be able to keep up with the whole ecosystem is just crazy.
It is. It's just full on. And now they've announced that Copilot's available for F2 capacities and higher.
I've seen your post. I love the fact that you're actually, you know, you've got your timing out to work, because you look at it and you think, oh, fabulous, write the Python for me. You know, because at I'm doing a Python course, SQL Bits. And so I'm in planning, and this comes up, and you're like, oh, well, do I need to do this? But I think you do need to understand what you're asking it to do to a certain extent. You know, you can't just take it. But
I'll be interested to see what the difference is between, because my initial quick experiment was like, you can click a button and say, build a report for me, suggest a report, and it builds a whole page with like a whole bunch of visuals on. And that used up like 45 minutes worth of compute on an F2.
And
that was like one quick. So that's sort of, you know, if you're paying for an F2, you get your hours worth. That's me just asking one question. Is using up almost an hour's worth of your available capacity for the day.
And how much do you get for a day with F2? If you not as pay as you go, but just as a
well, it's basically, so you get 7,200 compute seconds. So you get 2 hours worth of compute per hour. if you want to put it that way. So with an F64, you get 64 hours worth of compute per hour. So 45 minutes is essentially, a chunk of my sort of, no, it was more than that, actually. It must have been more than that. It was 500, it was more than that. It was about an hour and 20 minutes worth of compute, because it was 5,800 seconds out of my 7,200 seconds per hour. And that was asking one question, just me. So Sue's face is looking a little bit shocked. So that's doing the whole create a page, right? So, and I'm imagining they're asking for help with DAX or writing Python stuff. I'm imagining that's going to use less tokens and less compute and all that sort of stuff. So,
but I mean, because I know that there's Brian Julius does it, is really heavy into AI, and he's produced different ways that you can actually feed different versions the model with the DAX, the whole JSON. This is what my model is. This is the metadata. These are the relationships. These are the measures. These are the columns. So when you ask it to help you with DAX, it understands your model. So if Copilot is in your model, you would expect it to have that underlying knowledge of the semantic model that you're asking it about.
So plenty of playing and testing.
You're keeping it all in an Excel spreadsheet?
I might have to.
Yes, please. Can you?
I'm just doing because no one else is using our capacity in our office. It's just sort of well, there's a couple of us actually, but basically so right, I'm going to be testing today and tomorrow, so I can just keep an eye on what happens when I do each thing, and nobody else is interfering with it there, because we've only got one capacity between us currently. So
I've got an F2 with one of my customers that I'm using, that I'm keeping track of. But so I've got the F2 on and off on the ingestion of a certain thing, but the other things I'm still using trial. So I'm fascinated to see, because what I'm trying to do is the ingestion and everything in Fabric, and then push it to use the SQL endpoint into an import method of desktop, so that the data lands there. It only needs refreshing once a morning, and then you can use everything in normal mode, non-Fabric workspaces.
So the other thing about, they never really seem to mention about direct lake mode is the fact that you are using compute every time somebody clicks on a chart or interacts with a slicer. So I've seen people say that can, depending on how many users you've got and all the complexity and size and everything. So one technique is to, just go to import mode, and put your Power BI report in a pro workspace. Because then there is no additional, Fabric cost. So there's different scenarios.
So I have I have all my Fabric engineering stuff happening in Fabric workspaces, and setting it up and structuring it and the model. And then for the specific reports, they use the SQL endpoint, and they're refreshed. And then I, during the day, it doesn't matter how many times people click on them, because it's in a non-Fabric workspace, because the data's already been landed.
It doesn't need to be updated that often.
I have deliberately stayed away from. I just want to know how much it's all going to cost.
It's tough, until people start playing with this more and more. I'm just not going to know.
I mean, it's fabulous, so smooth.
Okay.
But that's why when I saw your Copilot post, I thought, love it. Thank you, Win.
Here we go. We're starting. I'll have to read the Data Goblins posts now. Posts to find, because he's been posting about Copilot, and I haven't really followed along because I haven't been able to play. So now I can play. I can read them.
And he's very honest.
So a couple of other quick ones then. The new file picker in April. So when you do file save as or file open, I had a little tiny bit of sort of feedback to Microsoft about this when they were thinking about how to create it, because the fact that it wasn't obvious when you clicked on a folder to do save as, and then browse this device was down the bottom of the screen and trying to navigate and things. So now it's great. You can do pin folders, pin files. You can, everything's just browse through your SharePoint.
Nice. Yeah.
That's on by default. Table view, you can now copy a single value from your table view page.
Oh, God, that was annoying, wasn't it?
Yeah. I still wish you could highlight a column and sum it like you can in Excel.
Yeah, exactly. You could just highlight it and it would just tell you, but we can't do that with
measures. Tells you how many, tells you distinct and how many rows there are, but it doesn't tell you the sum of them. Bit of a shame. And mobile, I don't know who cares about this, but mobile layout auto generate. Click a button and it suggests how you should lay out your mobile view randomly. I don't know, might be useful, I guess, but have you ever built a mobile one? I've never. I built one for myself. That's it.
Yeah, I have done a few, but they're never asked for or I mention it. And they did. Yeah.
No, it's not that. Doesn't seem to be that popular. And then there was one sort of public service announcement about the mapping Azure Maps. If they're going to make some changes in June, I think, so that if you're using Azure Maps, you must have June Power BI Desktop.
Right. Okay.
So if people are trying to keep 3 or 4 versions behind, which I know some companies do, but they are using Azure Maps, then it'll just stop working in that old version of Power BI Desktop.
Yeah,
so you have to update to June.
Yeah, a couple of the sort of friends are very, very keen visualization and mapping, and they'll be very pleased to hear, I'm sure, that it's being updated and working.
Yeah, it seems to be having lots of new features and layers and all sorts of things added to it. It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it does look cool.
And I think I heard that it works in publish to web as well now, which Azure Maps didn't used to.
No.
So I think.
Well, I might have a play with that already. If it's coming out in June.
Well, that's the official switch. They're doing something to it. It's all there now.
Yeah.
Okay. But the official sort of there's something happening in June that I'll put a link to the note in the show notes.
I can hear 2 people that I know specifically, Paul and Anthony, that are probably shouting at me right now. Do you know this?
You should know. You've been using it for 3 years.
You know.
All right, half an hour. Perfect.
Let's go.
Any other bits or anything, or should we just say thank you and good night?
Yeah, thank you. And I would just, when I said when we first started, don't get overwhelmed. I sometimes get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So it's normal. There is a huge amount, and what I find is just sort of be aware, and when you need it, dip into it, but don't let it get you down.
Good advice. None of us are actually really keeping up. We're just pretending to.
Yeah.
Some of us are better at pretending than others.
Yeah. I love that.
All good. All right. So, well, Giles and Mark have got a lot to live up to, if you ask me.
I think so.
So we've set the bar.
Yeah.
Whether it's a high bar or low bar. I don't know.
It's high.
Okay, excellent. High bar. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you.
Catch you in the next full-on pod next week.
Yes. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye. Bye.